one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Me up when September ends.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Broke Boy Crypto. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host, Crypto Ewok. Not a fan of Green Day. I don't know if you are, Ewok, but never a band I've really been a whiny, weird, not into the punk thing.
They don't bother me, but it's not my first choice.
Well, we all know that September is going to be up only, so they got that wrong too. So, welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. We like Creed here. I will listen to Creed. I will say that. Not a fan of Creed though. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. We got the PulseChain marketing has really kicked off in earnest. The same people that are complainers are complaining about it, and the people that like to see things positively are seeing it positively. And we have some really good content, actually, from a couple of people on Twitter over the last few days, kind of just looking at the broad scope of this type of marketing in general, not just what's going on with PulseChain, but physical mailers like this, how well they do work traditionally, how good the ROI is on product or on efforts like this. So we're going to get into that and hopefully give you some eye-popping information on that. We have Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of consolidating in the range that they've been in. Hopefully Ethereum starts to make another move here soon, which Ewok and I think both believe it will. We have those couple things and a whole lot more. There's just a lot of stuff to get to tonight. We want to get to you guys' chats as well, so please hit us up. We'll acknowledge a lot of the chats tonight. Questions, comments, anything you guys want to get to, we'll get to that as well. But Ewok, how are you just feeling about the market in general right now?
Just kind of a lull. Nothing real exciting going on. You can tell people are kind of ready for something. It's just, but there's just not much going on. A lot of sideways, and we kind of called that last week, or I did anyway. I said I think we'll consolidate here for a little bit. Not going to see anything too crazy, but that's kind of what I expect.
Yeah, we have talked about for the last couple of weeks, a big event obviously coming up this month on the 18th is going to be the next FOMC meeting, where it seems like a virtual lock that Jerome Powell, the Fed, will be cutting interest rates, something that's been, pulled for months and months, of course. And we have both said that we think we'll see a pump from Ethereum, continued leading into that. So we'll just get into where BTC and ETH are right now. I actually didn't even have it pulled up on my end, but Bitcoin, like you just said, I mean, there hasn't really been crazy movements in the last few days, but we do have Bitcoin rebounding a bit here up to 112K. Ethereum is at 44.65 right now. It flirted with 4,500 today. Trying to get back to that elusive $5,000 when Ethereum hit a new all-time high for about a 2-hour period a couple Sundays ago. So we are hoping for that. But we're going to talk about our typical. This has been such a unique, interesting, horrible cycle, really, for anybody outside of Bitcoin. But an interesting one for us to really break down, just because we still have not seen Ethereum really take off at all. We haven't seen a true alt season in the late stage of a bull market yet. And it continues to beg the question, what kind of time frame could we be looking at here? Is this something that's going to just completely hockey stick up in 3 months? Like, are we done in 2 or 3 months? Or are we going to extend into 2026? Which, we had somebody bring up last week about will it happen this year, or will it be a super cycle into 2026? That would definitely not be the definition of a super cycle. I mean, a lot of these definitions, I think, are kind of, malleable based on what you're really trying to say. But we've said it on here many times. Ethereum in the bull market of 2017, it did not hit its cycle high until January of the following year in 2018. That would be the equivalent of this coming January 2026 if Ethereum hit an all-time high. So keep that in mind as well, that even if we did continue this bull market, even with Bitcoin and Ethereum and alts, into, I would even say, nearly early spring of next year, that would still be really falling into the same scope of the 4-year cycle. It's not like any kind of crazy deviation, even if just a 90-day period. So, yeah,
Sure.
Ewok, what do you think? I mean, like, I know you were for a while, and as we get later and later into the year, maybe your opinion changed, but for a while, you've been saying, like, no, I think it'll all be done within this calendar year. Are you still thinking that for Bitcoin and or Ethereum? And how do you see this playing out right now?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I still think early 2026 for altcoins. You know, it does really all revolve around Bitcoin. And the one thing I kind of did want to look at and point out is that a lot of cycles, even in the past, when you go back to 2017, obviously that was the Christmas top, right?
Mhm.
Into December, Christmas, pretty much. It was Christmas or a couple of days before. And then you got into the last cycle into 2021, and the first actual top was April. So I don't have the chart to go back further to see where it was on the first cycle, unfortunately. But I think it was right in around here as well, in December-ish of 2014, maybe not. I don't remember what month it was. So going off of that, it's really hard to say. These things don't typically happen in the same month. You would like to, and then even the second top back in 2021 was in November, right? So again, not the same month. So first top April, second top by a little bit more was even spread out to November. So I guess there's a possibility of something like that even happening, right? You get some sort of top, and then it kind of cools off, and you get a little bit higher of a top. That something like that could totally affect, the top for Ethereum. So again, when that happened, let's go back to that and see 2021, where the first top was April here, and then it kind of did the same thing into November, which extended it, right?
Mhm.
So even though when you look at the pi cycle top, it said that it was right here in April 16th or something like that was the actual top. And then when it hit September, it didn't reflect that, or November, I'm sorry. It didn't reflect that on the pi cycle top indicator. So even though things ran a little bit higher, it wasn't indicated here. So I think something like that could happen with Bitcoin. Not enough people believing that was the top, and all the influencers saying, "Oh no, we're not done yet. We're not done yet," and it does get a little bit higher. I guess that could extend it. So what? It went from April to November. If we're thinking that the first top comes in and then it cools off and it does do another something into April, I don't know what that would translate to as far as altcoins going. Now, it could be beneficial, but I think people are just so ready for something at this point that it's really just, it's hard to say. It's how quickly this takes off. And to answer your question, does it just hockey stick up? Well, it could, and it's done it before. So there is that as a possibility as well. It's just runs like this from 2000 all the way up to 4000 happen within 4 weeks,
Mhm.
3-4 weeks, it can happen like that. So you get a doubling in price with a very, very short period of time. You have this candle here that was only 2 or 3 candles, and it went from 1,700 to 2,700. There's 1,000 in 2 days. So anything's possible. It really is. And it's just so hard to call right now because you don't know what the sentiment is as far as the bigger players that are dipping in and out and kind of manipulating the markets currently. It's more of a watch what they do type of thing before you really decide. But when we look at Bitcoin, we still are in this just choppy. It's staying right between the 50 and the 200 currently. The 50 is kind of turning down. So I'm hoping that it doesn't hit that and bounce because of the resistance there. As far as the moving averages go, what we need it to do is bust through it to pull this average up a little bit. I think it helps. We're still way above the trend line. I don't see it coming back down to touch it anytime soon. You're talking already into January. It would have to pull back to 97,000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see that happening. I see it pulling away more so from the trend line, and Ethereum getting hot too and pulling away from this trend line as well. So yeah, I still think we're on target. I don't see why by October, November, we can't be in the 6,000 range, if not even a little bit higher, 7 or 8,000. And then that last month, I think December is going to be really, really heated. Now, will that be the end? Who knows? Ethereum always trails Bitcoin by about 28 or 29 days from when that top is until it plays out and people transfer into Ethereum, catch that final rip, and then things from there go into altcoins, catch those rips, and then it just kind of tapers off. But again, that double top that happened last cycle for Bitcoin really threw things off a little bit. And, it wasn't much, but it was enough to make another all-time high. So something to consider that could take it into, a little further into the following year. But again, my target is still probably to be over and done with by March or April, I think.
Yeah, which would be magnificent. I mean, like I think you kind of alluded to this a little bit, but I think the further that we run, the better it's going to be no matter what. I mean, maybe that just is obvious. But yeah, I think the further that this bull market goes, the better that we're all going to be off. And I want to answer this because this guy's been a pretty polarizing figure. Ben Cohen, Sami affectionately calls him Ben Copen, but he's been a pretty polarizing figure this bull market because essentially, give the guy his flowers, he's been calling things like pretty correctly, from what I've seen anyway. Now, he is kind of just Bitcoin centric. He also sells a service with tons of subscribers that he makes tons of money on and so he has like incentive to, tell them a certain thing, most likely. So anytime there's something like that, and it is significant. I mean, we're not talking about like a little wee Telegram group or something. I mean, like he makes shit tons of money from this thing. So
yeah,
I tend to take stuff like that with a grain of salt. That said, he has been right on a lot of stuff. The thing is, beyond all, I don't even understand what extended cycle means. This is what I mean. Like we were talking about that term or super cycle or whatever at the top of the show. What does he mean? I mean, you'd have to tell me what he means by that. But again, if the limits of that time-wise are what Ewok just said, like March of next year, I would definitely not consider that an extended cycle. Extended cycle would be through next year. Like we go through 2026 and like maybe the bear market begins in 2027. That would truly show something different. I think you would agree, Ewok. But like,
yeah.
I know, and I was watching other Ben Cohen videos the other day. I mean, he's talking about Ethereum going back to a lower level of support on the chart, like in terms of I forget what the moving average is, but basically a level that could be into the 3,000s. He has it going into there. And then I haven't really heard his long-term view on Ethereum. Every time I hear him, it's just basically moving the goalposts further and further that Ethereum bleeds against Bitcoin. I mean, I don't know what his ultimate like goal is for Ethereum this cycle, or if that's something he even really talks about. But I mean, I really just hear negative takes on Ethereum. And again, I will say, Ethereum wicked down to like $1,400 a couple months back, which no one thought was going to really happen, and he was kind of calling for that. So give him that. And again, I see a lot of his videos when he just says, "Oh, remember back here we said this." I have no way to prove whether he really said that or not, and I tend honestly not to trust his takes too much. But yeah, I'm curious what you think about any of that, Ewok, from Ben Cohen. And Beyond All just clarified and said cycle will top by the end of the year, not 20. Okay, so he's saying extended cycle, meaning not go into 2026. At this juncture, and again, these things, I mean, it is what it is. It changes. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we had Ethereum hitting a new all-time high, and I was like, okay, I mean, if we keep moving like this, maybe this all does happen by the end of the year. And that could still happen. I mean, we have 2 weeks until FOMC, where you and I have thought that Ethereum would get over $6,000 potentially by that chance. Sitting here today, that sounds like funny. It could happen. I mean, it absolutely could happen. So I just feel like, because if I had to answer this, well, talk about what Beyond All is talking about here. At this juncture, because Ethereum has been so underwater so badly for so long, even if we make a drastic move now, I think that we could see Ethereum top in 2026. I say the majority of my feeling is that we would see a top in 26. But what do you say about that, Ewok?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's going to go far into it. I really don't. But again, there is always that possibility, and you have to be careful about the people that are, selling any kind of financial advice. They're going to be very wishy-washy about things, so that they can always go back and say, well, I got it right. I mean, I said this, but it could be this. And there's a lot of that. They do it very, very well. For me, I don't know. I mean, I can speculate all I want, but I'm not charging anybody for my opinion, obviously. I am seeing a very nice bull flag here on the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, where we only have about 6 or 7 days till it has to decide what it wants to do. And I think you could see something at that point. I think it's going to bust out of here and go crazy. I really do. By the 10th, again, is about where this ends on this flag to decide. So keep an eye out for that. And I think that could kind of kick things off for, when we have the FOMC meeting, we've got that. There's just a lot of things coming to play here where it could get really heated really fast. And again, when things move, they move quickly. It doesn't have to take forever, months and months. That's not like that. You get about 6-8 weeks of a very heavy bull cycle, and that's it. Again, last cycle we did see that secondary top. It was very manipulated. I think people were trying to force it up, and it just didn't have the legs. It couldn't get anything going. And like I said, even on the pi cycle top indicator, it didn't show any kind of touching a top at all. It just wasn't there. So yeah, I still feel we're in the cards to get this thing ended by the end of the year at some point, maybe into January. Again, 28 days later, Ethereum tops. We could be January, February this cycle, and then things close out in March. But yeah, I wouldn't consider that an extended cycle either, at all by definition.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And well, it remains to be seen. I mean, I still think the upside for Ethereum, I feel like we should be able to get to 10K for sure. I know Ewok has loftier numbers than that, but I mean, we've looked at what it did in 2017 and 2018 from August until January, and it did about a 7x from there. Now, there's two schools of thought there. Like Ethereum was younger at the time and made more drastic moves. But that year it had also already been going up. We haven't seen it even hit an all-time high yet, which is why, well, I mean, barely.
Barely.
So that's why, to me, even though it's now 2 cycles older, we could still see that kind of a move because it's just been suppressed for so long. It's got an ETF. Why does Bitcoin get the pump ETF treatment this whole cycle and Ethereum ends up never getting it? I mean, it just, and then
Doesn't
you have
make
guys,
sense.
yeah. And then you have, and again, I know these like kind of older suit wearing legacy finance guys are often like wrong about this stuff, but Tom Lee is out here talking about, he's on all the I don't even know what he's on, Fox Money or whatever these goddamn networks are. I have no idea. But he's on these networks talking about Ethereum, what he thinks it can get to. He thinks it'll be 12K by the end of the year, which, I mean, that's not even a crazy number. And guys like him are out there buying it and everything. So it's cool to see that, but he's in the minority saying a lot of these things right now. So
yeah, that's just over a 2x, right? I mean, we kind of expect it to do more than that. So yeah, I think that's very, very, very low on speculation.
Even if it is just that, though, I mean, that would still put altcoins in good shape. I think it would still put this ecosystem in really good shape. I think we would be fine. But we saw how fast Ethereum moved to get to 5K a couple of weeks ago. And if it starts to go that fast again with the rate cuts coming here, money printing starting, yeah, I think we could see something. I mean, we haven't even mentioned this yet, really. But I mean, September, everybody always thinks it's Rectember. And it's always... If you look back, and I will say, Charlie from Cultivate Crypto, I saw sharing this the other day, but he was looking through the September's history for Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's no real trend that it's always bad. I mean, that's just, I think, a recency bias that people had for a couple years in a row at one point. But overall, September just falls kind of in the middle in terms of performance for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think it catches everybody off guard, and we see bullish stuff this month. Everybody's bearish right now. And I just think, I mean, if you're counter trading what everybody thinks, I think the biggest thing is that people get caught off guard thinking that this was a Bitcoin only cycle and it's over. And then either Bitcoin still runs really hard and pulls everything else up, or it kind of runs and everything else just runs really hard, because they're all basically just, using recency bias and confirmation bias of what this cycle has been, is that's all it's going to be. So we're obviously betting that they're wrong on that.
Yep, we are.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on Bitcoin or Ethereum there, Ewok?
No, not really. Like I said, it's just a patience thing to let some of these bull flags play out. Again, I think within the next week, you're going to see something with that ratio, the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio. It's got to do something. It's running out of time.
Yeah. Yep. And I think we're going to see it here soon, even if it's at the very end. So looking good. If you guys are here and enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor and peg that like button. We appreciate you being here. We do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's turn our attention to the main event, PulseChain. We'll see what prices are looking like for Pulse. Well, not great. It's continued to go down as actually it's dipping right now. Remember, we always have a customary dip while we do this show. We have Pulse at 4 zeros and 3988 on the app I'm looking at now. We have Hex at 00858. We've got PulseX at 4 zeros 295. Inc at $1.51. eHex is at 0016. And everybody's favorite, especially Ewok, we have PDI at 0042 right now. So that's where we are. We are dipping. Again, the rest of the market has been over the last week too. And of course, a lot of people, and we're going to get into the marketing devices and stuff, but people are like, so the sell-offs because the marketing's stupid, which is just like I think, dumbest, laziest take that you could possibly have, honestly. But it's bad because it's always been bad and Ethereum's bad. But yeah, anyway, what do you make of this little pullback right now? I mean, it is what it is. We've continued to consolidate kind of in this area for Pulse. But yeah, what are your thoughts here, Ewok?
Well, like I had said last week, I was really concerned about getting below this level of the 3595-ish area, this previous support. But it really hasn't moved a whole lot since last week. I mean, we're pretty much in the same spot. Little bit of a downtrend, or was it the 4-3? Hang on, where were we? Where were we last week? What was the date? Do you remember? Was it the 27th?
26. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, okay, never mind. This was the level, and we did break it. It was this level that I was looking at, the 448 something, and it did break through, but it found a little bit of support from back here that was using it as support as well. So I don't know. I don't know what's causing it, whether it's just the FUD, the negativity that people are saying all this marketing is a terrible idea and the wrong people are hearing it. Again, we'll get into that a lot here in just a few, but again, I think people are just bored. I think they're losing patience, and it's fine. Again, the more people that sell at these levels, the more people that will be there watching when this thing really starts to run, and they'll be the ones chasing to try and get back what they never will, right? They're going to have to buy higher because they're exiting at some of these lowest levels that we've had. So it's just boredom, and people don't have delayed gratification left in them at all. I don't think that it's a thing of it's a very few and far between for those who don't mind waiting. And you know, people need to have a little bit of patience, because it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't even in a cycle. It could take more than one cycle, for things to play out the way we anticipate it. I still think we're going to have a good cycle and a good finish. Richard's not the type to lay down and just let whatever happen. He wants the glory, he wants the numbers, and I wouldn't be surprised if it maybe even dips a little further now at this point before things really start to take off. I could see us coming back down to test this level where we were, and I think that's the 3.5 or 3.6 area. Get a nice little catapult off of that, because it did act as a nice little bottom back here September of 23 early, and then it became resistance. It came several times here. It was resistance. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. There's just so many varying opinions out there of the chain, of what's happening. Is the marketing thing a good idea? Is it a bad idea? It's just so many varying opinions out there to really understand what's going on, other than there's more people selling right now than buying.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we are just really waiting for all of these larger forces that are much bigger than PulseChain to start taking effect. I mean, again, there's a reason that Ethereum has been suppressed as long as it has so far. The world has just not been into any real risk assets for a while. I mean, it's been, Bitcoin, but I mean, that's Big Daddy Bitcoin. We've seen the stock market go to all-time highs and gold and things like that, but we haven't seen the rate cuts yet. We haven't seen money printing, which are two things that usually, that we talk a lot about the 4-year cycle, and a lot of people, focus only on the Bitcoin halving part of the 4-year cycle. But really, as we've talked about before, the bigger part of that is the money supply cycle. Like the fact that when this stuff gets printed is on like a 4-year basis. And that's partially what we're waiting for. And I refuse to believe, and it doesn't, this is not, RH bias. I'm not somebody that was in Hex from the beginning and have this allegiance to Richard Hart no matter what or anything. I would point out flaws that I think that the guy has. I think he's certainly made mistakes. But again, we've said this before, the marketing stuff, any actions that Richard Hart or his team takes or anything like that is icing on the cake. If Ethereum is not hitting new all-time highs and screaming and stuff like that, altcoins, not just PulseChain, altcoins are not really going to be doing a lot. Forget about PulseChain or the leverage on Ethereum idea, or that we have an Ethereum strategic reserve. Forget all that. I'm talking about altcoins as a whole. The aggregate will not do well.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, we need that to happen first before anything really, plays off of it. Obviously, this is a completely different ecosystem with a different type of founder. Likes to be flashy, likes to be seen, likes his name to be out there, likes to be proven right. And he is often right. So, yeah, I think he would go to great lengths to make this successful, but he's not going to break himself, right? He's not going to go broke doing it. So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think he's very, very careful of that. Like we've actually
yeah,
seen, it's interesting, more than ever, people speculating like, you know what? I don't think the sacrifice fund reserve is really going to even be used for anything. It's purely going to be, you've talked about like the dangling carrot thing before and all that
yeah,
stuff. It's interesting that that's almost grown into a consensus thought at this point. Like most people are like, oh yeah, none of those funds are going to be used or anything. We've seen attempts, we've seen like money bridged in that seems like it could be from an entity like that, but not actually buy anything to see
right.
what actions people take, which I think is genius. I mean, you don't want to provide exit liquidity for the weirdos that are still selling down here.
Exactly. And it's happened before. Not it wasn't that long ago. I think there was a little bit of a tester. There were some buys done that by the entity that we think was them, and it sold down immediately, telling us and telling him that, hey, they're not ready. They're not ready yet. I'm not going to add more. Like, why would I be exit liquidity for people who are still very anxious to sell on a very, very small gain? Just not going to do it. So, just when sometimes you think that the sellers are exhausted, they do shit like this and prove us wrong again and continue to sell. So, yeah, I mean, when the time is right, it'll be right, and it will happen quickly. I think there will be an initial probably sell off again. There's still more of those people out there, but then after that, it takes off immediately and doesn't do that chopping around bullshit. It just goes, and they get left behind, and it's like, oh crap. Then everybody starts to kind of chase it. That's when you start to see the big candles, and that's what really makes them, is the fact that it went up, it sold down immediately, went up, and people chase it, and right. That was really what triggers some of these big moves.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, still remaining patient here, but everything in me, we keep having these conversations. Everything in me just keeps thinking that this should be a good month. I mean, also, we didn't even talk about this really with the Bitcoin Ethereum conversation, but August finished off with some red daily candles. So August, while it had been a good month, clearly, was down only for like the last week, which I think was very inspiring for a good September here. Like to start from a lower basis, basically, with everything. And again, everybody thinks September is going to be negative. We have rate cuts cutting this month. Now, I do think we've talked before about the rate cuts being a sell the news event, but I think we can still pump more going into it. I still think we have 2 weeks where we could see that sustained Ethereum all-time high going into it. I still think that until I'm proven wrong, and we still got about 2 weeks for that to happen. So yeah,
sure,
good stuff. Any final thoughts on PulseChain prices anyway, Ewok?
Nope, just kind of hanging out and waiting. I'm being as patient as I possibly can.
Yeah, just doing other things in the meantime, and still, I mean, still living below the means and DCAing in everything that I possibly can. There will be a time where maybe it isn't the best idea to do that, but I'm still, we're nowhere near that time yet. So I'm still throwing the kitchen sink at it. So, let's get into these marketing devices. So finally, I remember where I was back in June when Richard first was talking about potential marketing things coming for PulseChain. This was the first time it was mentioned. He said, in just a couple of months or whatever. And of course, there's been wild speculation since that time. What would these things be? Many of us, I think, like the agreed upon thing was basically just that it would be some sort of fold out type thing with an LCD video screen, like maybe pitching what PulseChain is, directing people to a certain place, because we heard about the whatever it is, 2500 battery and all that, and a charger potentially and everything. So most of us believed it was that. There was some other ideas as well. I didn't see anybody get it correct. I don't know if you did, Ewok, but I didn't really. And honestly, I think you were too, because we shared it together when we first saw them. But I did not even believe that it was these, whatever you want to call them, the doodle pad things. When I first saw them, I thought it was a joke or something like that. And instantly, and I've seen a lot of people say the same thing, once they started to think about it a little bit, it started to make a lot more sense. And again, I don't think that's just like any kind of Richard Hart bias. It's just thinking about, you have to zoom out and start thinking about direct mail marketing. And I'll ask this question to you, and it's interesting because I think Dane, in the video that we're going to show in a moment, brought up the same topic. I said this to you and Dejin Moonboy the other day. Think of physical mail that you get. Like most of it, obviously, we are all, and this is why everybody's been so critical of RH talking about physical mail. People who have not done anything near what Richard Hart has done in life, but you know, criticizing it because, I agree. Like you usually get physical mail, you tear it up because it's a little, maybe a cardboard cutout thing or just a mailer that's an obvious scam envelope or something. And I challenged myself one day and I was thinking, like, what is the most, and it's hard to remember your entire life of mail, but what's the most like inspiring thing that you ever got in the mail that like worked on you, or you know, was something that may have converted you as a customer? And the only thing that I could think of, and again, it's probably, you know, something I got more recently, but it was literally, this is what it was. This is the low bar that we have to meet here. Is a hard plastic, you know, like index card sized thing for a new auto shop in town that was offering like discount oil changes. And it had like a punch out, like you could put it on a keychain and just bring it right in. And, you know, who doesn't need an oil change on their car? I was like, no, okay, I'll put this over to the side. I think it was like $25, which is like pretty heavily discounted. And I'm like, okay, I sitting right now on my microwave. I still have never used it, but it's still sitting there in my house right now. I don't know that I'll ever go to the place, but it's still there. And I'm one person. I'm one customer. Of
Probably expired.
Maybe. Well, I've gotten it twice. I threw the old one away and I kept the new one because I'm like, they're going to keep sending it to me. So I've still got it. Now, that's a microcosm thing, but that's the barrier to entry here. That's the best piece of physical mail advertising I can remember in my entire life. Okay. So do you think Richard Hart passed that metric that I just created there?
Of course. I think a pen would have passed that, right? A pen with an advertisement on it or something like that. I was just trying to think back to something that I got in the mail that was free, and I still have it to this day. It was a little card from a local veterinarian, and on a little chain, it had a tick remover, something that you can remove a tick if your dog gets a tick. There's a special tool that you know, you can get them out safely without pulling the head off and all that good stuff. Not to get too gruesome, but I still have it. It's just one of those things that I've kept because it is a great tool to have, and I've used it before. So I think that again was pretty cool, but this kind of goes over and above that, right? Especially for people that have kids, or you know, their kids are gonna love it. It's just a little electronic etch sketch, basically. You know, the target audience may not be extremely rich people. I don't know that they would care too much about it, but somebody that has a family of kids, or, you know, very upper, maybe middle class with a couple kids, those kids are going to play with it. They're going to love it. So I think it's very sticky. And I the more I thought about it, you know, we were all kind of had the initial reaction of, man, that's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I thought it was weird. I would totally admit it. Yeah.
And then we look into it a little bit more, and you've got, I think it's probably one of the best sellers on Amazon. Somebody had posted something like that where it was a top selling thing on Amazon at one point. So yeah, just, a very, very cool idea. It's pretty sticky, and he's right. People are not going to throw it away. So.
You brought up two things there that I think are key. And like you just said about the kids and the family thing. Keep in mind, think about everybody that you see criticizing this. Think of them. What kind of archetype are they? What do they look like on Twitter? What are they? They are anon young males that do not have children. Okay.
Probably.
And also usually people who don't have a lot of money either, or don't have a lot. Now, these people, because they're in crypto, may have already had. I'm not saying that of them, but like they can't even conceive of where these are going. You know what I mean? Like to the households that these are going to. And I agree with you. Like, and I have peers that I know that are the type of people these things could go to, honestly. Like I have a cousin who's like pretty much same age as me, has a couple of kids, married and stuff like that. And he'd be like a candidate to receive these. Like has disposable income, is open to crypto, has invested in Ethereum and Bitcoin a little bit. These people can't see past their own noses, I don't think. They can't imagine like that. Richard's trying to market. I said it in a video I uploaded on here the other day. Like there's two groups. There's the people that are already in and are like crypto lifers and are just, again, hiding, but, don't even put their faces out there, just tweet all day and are negative and stuff. And it's just a single dude yield farming and jumping around and clicking a bunch of buttons and stuff like that. And that's fine. That may work for him, but that's not who Richard is trying to market to. This is a bigger deal than that, a bigger family unit, people that have, maybe more assets to use at the time. So it makes sense to me that the people that are the keyboard warriors saying all that stuff, they don't even have concept of who these people are or anything.
Right.
And as somebody, like I've seen those doodle pad things kids go through multiple of them. Like I've seen them. They are a thing that kids use right now. I think people with kids like understand it a little bit more because they do get used and they do go through them. And it is cool because you can just constantly use them,
One of the other comments I heard too was like, why would you spend all this money when there are so many things that are needed more for this chain, like a block explorer? And I thought that was one of the worst examples because, to be honest with you, new people, the people that we're trying to get, don't even know what a block explorer is, let alone how to use it. It is not important for onboarding people. Like if you're trying to get the hardcore crypto, the old heads, the people that know what's going on, okay, maybe. But I think you can still get them with green candles. I really don't think you need the block explorer for that. And for the new people, again, they don't even know what the hell it is. They're not watching wallets. Yeah, they don't care.
I would just, not to interrupt you, but I have never cared about the block explorer thing. And I understand it. I know it's like the hallmark of a good chain and that you want to have and all that stuff. I've never given a shit. I've never really thought about it that much. I get it. I understand wanting a good one. And we've had other people build other ones, but I've never really cared.
Never cared. No, yeah. I don't care unless I'm looking for a transaction, which I hardly ever do. Again, I'm not a wallet watcher. So it doesn't bother me. Debank was nice. It was a nice thing that we kind of lost, but I've heard there's other ones in development that other people will build them. Like if it's really that wanted and needed, somebody will build it. It doesn't have to be Richard. Let's let him do the marketing, to onboard the new people in, to make these tools that, people seem to want. So.
This is the other thing I think people are missing is just not understanding, and this is where we're going to get into the Dane video and then the other guy video as well, but just not understanding what's trying to be achieved here. Like number one, so many of these are going to be mailed out that you want a cheaper item like this, something that doesn't cost as much. And when I think back to what we all thought that the items were going to be, it would have been a much bigger expense. I mean, I have to imagine 5 times as expensive, probably. And if you can do something like this, that is something that can sit around the house, have this information on it, it's sticky, it stays there. You don't need a large conversion rate. And that's a lot of the math that people have been going out and trying to illustrate is you don't need everybody buying one. Like you
Yep.
can think these are cheesy devices or whatever that you would never use, but you're usually not getting. I mean, again, we just did the test. What's the best ad you ever got in the mail? And maybe yours rivals this a little bit. I think yours is pretty good. Like a physical tool you can actually use is kind of a good one. Maybe Richard should call up that pet shop or whatever they are. But but yeah, that's the thing. I don't think people realize the low barrier to entry and the conversion rate does not need to be high with this. So if you have any thoughts on that, and then yeah, we can play both those videos because they were released over the last couple of days, and I think they just bring a huge perspective to this.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be easy. Just the thing that I got in the mail, because it came with a card, right? It came with a little chain, one of those little chains, that the little ball bearing kind of looking chain, and it had a card on the end of it. You could advertise. I still think it's a great idea. As I was thinking about it, because you could put anything on that card. People are, or maybe put a little piece of paper in for what the tool is for. But then you could advertise with a QR code or with whatever you wanted on that card super cheaply. And your target audience would be people with pets. They're not going to throw it away, right? So again, I think that's another good idea that people, again, wouldn't throw away, that would use, that would look at the card, and it would stay with it. So I don't know. Let's watch this video from Dane.
Yeah, let's look at the Dane one first. And shout out to Dane and Corey Geary. Now, Dane's been away for a while. I know he's got a big family and stuff too, but from doing his shows with Corey. But I have watched those guys since they've been on YouTube talking PulseChain. They're both hardcore real estate guys, come from that background. So they are pretty intimately familiar with direct mail. And I was watching Corey. I mean, shout out to him. The other day, I forget, Monday, Tuesday, I think it was Labor Day. He did a stream where he just lit into all these people that we're talking about right now that are critical of this, criticizing the direct mail campaign. And these are the people we should listen to. These guys right here, not like just them, but I just mean they have experience doing this as opposed to anyone else that's really pontificating on it. Like they have children, they see the way these things work. So I default to wanting to hear these type of opinions from people that have actually done it. So yeah, if you want to play Dane's video.
There'll be a lot of bad information going around about Richard Hart's tablet mailing campaign. So let's use some data to go ahead and dispel those. As a quick reference point, I've sent out, roughly 7 figures in marketing, a lot of it stuff like this, trying to look for real estate deals. It's not going to be perfectly apples for apples, but it'll be enough to give us some reasonable data. And I'll also talk about some of the things that we're doing to try to make this better. So you can see up here at the top, our data of what we typically got from sending mailers. Long story short, we had to send about 10,000 pieces in order to get 1 to 2 real estate deals. Keep in mind, that was with a sales team that was dialed, processes that were dialed, people that were trained. We knew what we were doing. Also, we were just sending postcards people were likely to throw away. It wasn't something useful that they would keep. With that being the case, I've given Richard the benefit of the doubt, and we've boosted the numbers a little bit. So let's make the assumption that Richard ordered the tablets in bulk, and obviously he's using a charity. My assumption is to get better mail rates. And so maybe his cost per tablet is only $1 to $3 that I put over here. Let's say that since there's an actual tablet that he gets a pretty good response rate. Once again, my response rate was like 0.5%, was really good. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he gets 1 to 3%. And before you say that these numbers are off, ask yourself, how many times have you gotten something in the mail from a third party that you didn't know and you actually took action with the thing? Probably very rarely. Next, let's assume that they're going to go to the websites on the tablets, right? PulseChain.com, Hex.com, Pump.tires. And with that being the case, we'll give a 5% response rate going and actually checking out the website. And we'll say that they figure out DeFi and they come along for the ride. So I've just broken those numbers down right here. If those guys bring an average of $5,000 per person, million tablets sent, that should essentially bring about 1,000 people over to the ecosystem, bringing on a total of about $1 million onboarded to PulseChain. You guys know as well as I do, $1 million is good, but it's not going to send us to the moon, right? So this is how we get to the moon, or at least a part of the plan that I came up with, is we need to do two things that we can affect. We need to bump up the response rates, and we need to get people to bring in more money. And how do we do that? Well, we need to offer actual onboarding support, which is what Corey and I do. So people actually Google Hex, PulseChain, Pump.tires, and they see a website where people can help them. They're far more likely to come on board, and they're far more likely to bring more money. So I played around with the numbers. You can see them here, but essentially bumping up those two metrics brings 50 million instead of 1 million, which is a huge difference. And here's how that distribution may appear. I'm just a guy on the internet making some guesses. What do you guys think is going to happen? Are my numbers even close?
So there you go. Really awesome that Dane put all that together. And I think his numbers are probably respectable because he's talking about a 0.5% conversion rate for his real estate business when all they did was just send out like that kind of little placard type thing. Whereas this is something way different than that. And he's estimating 1 to 3%. Maybe those numbers even end up being low. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
It does seem. And again, we don't know. And I saw somebody asking it in the chat. I don't know for sure we don't know who's being targeted here. Like, we don't know. People are like, oh, is it rich families or this area, that area? Is it families? Is it single guys on the internet posting about crypto all day? I don't know. I don't know.
And we don't know if it's an area or just random. Like, I mean, it could be completely random, multiple cities. I don't know that anything is specifically targeted as far as cities or zip codes or anything like that. One of the things I had thought earlier was it was going to very wealthy zip codes, right? You know, the Palm Beaches and the Miamis and the things that have very wealthy zip codes. But I don't know that will be the case now with what this is. You know, it could be very modest suburbs type places, which means there's a bunch of those outside of major cities all across the country. So, yeah, you know, RG, I heard him mention the other day that he had visited what they're calling the Beehive, and that is what, you know, where the work is being done. The people that are volunteering, getting mailers ready, stuffing the envelopes, labeling, all of that good stuff. And he said, it's crazy to see, you know, the people that are volunteering, the help, the vehicles, the labor, you know, all that stuff. So kudos to that, man. I you know, wish I was closer to it and could even stop over and help for a little while or something like that. But, you know, that's what makes the wheels turn.
Yeah. Yeah, we have another video here now. This came out in the first couple days of the items actually being received, but let's check this one out too. Not here. Oh, it's
IRL marketing for PulseChain. The physical devices are here. The physical IRL marketing for PulseChain has begun. Take a look at your mailboxes in the next 7 to 21 days. What do you guys think? This is what it is. It's pretty much a digital Etch-a-Sketch. But the unique thing about this is, yes, it shills Pump Tires, it shills PulseChain, and it shills Hex. These are the type of things you receive in the mail and you probably don't throw away. Everywhere you bring them and use them is free marketing. Your kids are using them at school. It's free marketing. But I think the biggest thing people are misunderstanding with this is we haven't yet seen the envelope either, which will shill PulseChain, I am sure, in PLS and PLSX. But also, this allows for Richard Hart to start dumping money into the chain, and people will have a reason to say why things are pumping. He has been all about this IRL marketing. He's not going to let the chain not pump during this time. Expect to see large inflows of capital, both from people receiving these and from Richard Hart himself in the near future. So far, up 5% on the news this morning. The physical devices are here.
There we go.
Probably retraced that 5% already. But anyway, in terms of
probably
I like what he said about the envelopes there. Yeah, because we don't know what the packaging was that this came in. And I got to imagine with a lot of this terminology of like the free gifts and stuff like that, I have to imagine something about like a gift for you, something to that effect is on there. And I mean, I'm certain I would open that mail. There's no way you're going to get something that is even this large of a device and be like, at the very least, like, what the fuck is this? And I know that's what my reaction would be. I'd be like, what the fuck? And like, open it up and I'd keep it immediately. I'd be like, oh, my son, you know, I'll surprise my son with this later on, you know? Yeah, I mean, I think the more I think about it, I mean, this is the thing with some of the actions that Richard takes. Like, I know I always compare him to bands and artists and stuff like that, but like, I love Pink Floyd, I love Tool, I love bands like that. Their artistry I respect so much that if I don't get it at first when something comes out, I'm like, this is on me. I got to figure out what's going on here. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe you can call that an appeal to authority, but in fairness, I think Richard knows a little bit about us when it comes to this stuff. And again, my initial reaction to these was like, is this a joke? Like, this can't be what it is, right? And then the more you think about the eventualities of this and these scenarios, I don't know, the more it starts to make sense to me.
Yep. Yeah, and I agree with the envelopes too. I mean, it could be the, you know, all of the colors of this ecosystem are very vibrant, right? You got the multicolors of the hex. You've got the bright blue and bright pink of the PulseChain. They stand out. They catch your eye. So if the envelope is flashy and colorful at all, it's gonna grab people's attention. And if yes, it says right here, a gift for you, you know, people are going to open it. Like, what the hell is this? They're not going to likely throw it away because it's going to have a little bit of weight to it. The size of it, it's not your typical postcard. It's not your typical random flyer that we would get, or, you know, like some 2-3 page magazine that's got a bunch of ads and coupons in it. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I definitely think it's going to be a attention grabber. Starting with the envelope and the whole way in. Again, should be a good reason to get things going. And the second guy, Nick, he mentioned it as well. It'd be a good reason to get Richard the reason to start pumping things when it gives people then when they do look at it and say, "Ooh, this is starting to go up. This is." Might want to look into it, right? Because the timing of it with the green candles amplifies it so much more than just saying, here's our website, go check it out. Well, it's not done anything, right? But when here's our website, go check it out, and you're looking like, oh, this thing is starting to look pretty good. And people never buy bottoms, right? Not with most of the time. They're chasing green candles. And again, I think it can complement each other with the timing of this, and throwing a little bit of extra marketing money into the kitty, and watching it, you know, the effects of it too.
Yeah. I think you make a good point there too, is the, whatever you want to call it, plausible deniability, or just the fact that all this marketing is out there, and eventually it's like, well, that's why the price is going up. There's all this marketing out there and things like that. So I think it's another good thing to have out there, as, you know, this is the reason for the pump, you know, for people to see. Yeah, they're talking about your background. They're digging the background for you today. I just noticed you had that one. I'm kind of missing the acid trip version, but
oh really? Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm getting, people are not loving my just black blanket background with blue lighting on the side. So yeah, I
could send it to you if you want it.
All right, we'll check it out. I would prefer, I'd maybe like a Pulse or a Pulse X one or a P-Dye one. Do you have a P-Dye background? There we go. Valiant Low Key. Great minds think alike. Bingo. That was literally simultaneous. There you go. Yeah.
Sounds like somebody will take care of you though.
Maybe not even a P-Dye one, but like Maria Rael, a picture of him.
There you go.
Just have him like over my shoulder.
Scare people away.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would get one of those right over my shoulder. So, DJ
Moonboy just put out a match.
There we go. All right, it's like my 401k. Fun to give me a new background. I gotta get, you know what, that P-Dye background. I'm really loving that idea. People get pissed off the minute they come on the stream. That'd be great.
I'd have to turn your screen off or something. I wouldn't be able to look at it.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, your nipples would be so pegged you won't be able to resist it. All right. Do you have any final thoughts on the marketing stuff? This was a great convo. I think we covered most of it.
No, I think we got it all, and we covered the possibilities of what really could happen. I think it's going to be a lot bigger than what people think. Richard's thought this through. He's always thought things very well ahead and made plans. So yeah, I'm expecting very good things.
Yeah. Yep, I'm stoked. Thought it was weird at first, but like whenever I heard Dark Side of the Moon for the first time and didn't get it, I didn't know it was the best album I ever heard. So that's I already put that one up there. Wait, is that a
0?
What?
I don't
Oh,
think you put this one up.
No, I'm definitely not going to do that. No, PI to $1. Okay, so we don't have too much more time. I want to cover this Starknet thing because we didn't have many other topics anyway, and we were going to just see if the chat had anything else. So Richard Hart obviously has posted about the failings of Ethereum layer 2s for quite some time. And I don't even really know what the news was with Starknet the other day. I think that's the one that Eric Wall has involvement in or something. I really don't know much about it, but let's see. Okay, yeah, thank you. So this is Richard's original post. He says, PulseChain is so vastly superior to Ethereum L2s, it's insane. But people are too stupid to listen, LOL. Look at Starknet, down for hours, dropping transactions. Had a down. Is that literally what it says? Where's he? I don't know what the quote is. Had it down. Maybe it's down there somewhere. We'll look in a second. He says, pitiful. I remember when one of their dumbass advisors told me that PulseChain would be unreliable. I was right. They were wrong. And their chain, quote unquote, is down. So it must say had a down somewhere. I don't know where that's at.
I don't know where that came from either. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
But it said Starknet had a down for hours. Here.
There you go. Okay. Whoa, that's interesting. There you go. Starknet had what did he go on to say there? There's a little bit more.
Starknet had it down for a few hours, and there was a reorg that dropped transactions between blocks, whatever, this number and this number. It was about.
I meant Richard then.
Okay. Oh, right here.
Yeah. He said, oh, there you go. He's deciphering it. He says, pretty sure a reorg that dropped transactions means that if you thought you got paid, you didn't. Hope you weren't in those 1,266 blocks that disappeared. I'm not going to bother to look up how deep it occurred. Is drop transactions how they're saying their blockchain lost data, or am I missing something?
Yeah.
And again, he's not, I mean, he is in this post, but he's not just singling out Starknet. He's talked about layer 2s sucking Ethereum dry and being failures left and right, essentially, for a long time. So this was the other day. This was enough. I don't even know if we would have covered this, but so this guy today, and I don't know who he is in his involvement with Starknet, but he quote tweeted or X'd this and said this. So I don't know who this guy is. It's I was going to read his name real quick. I can't even read that. Demoledba. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know who he is either. He's got like 29,000 followers, but
yeah, P2P Cash Enjoyer, Starknet, blah blah blah. Yeah, so he has some involvement of sorts in Starknet, has a decent little following there. So he quotes Richard and says, "Are you taking crack or something? You are one of the biggest charlatan and scammer of the whole crypto Twitter, and it's quite a big feat given the huge number of them. PulseChain is an absolute garbage that never made sense and never will. Don't dare to compare your shit to something backed by immense breakthroughs in the fields of mathematics and computation. Yes, you had an issue. Oh, yes, we had an issue after this upgrade, but this single upgrade represent literally more engineering research innovations that your entire garbage project. You are really dangerous, and you are dragging so many ignorant folks into a hell of lies and bullshit. No one with 2 brain cells take you seriously. Everyone serious in the space knows that PulseChain is an absolute trash and that you are a charlatan, yet you feel the need to yell it so loudly. You can send me your army of retards. Does not matter. Those people are lost already, unfortunately. So obviously, Richard doesn't send anybody to anybody. He didn't even respond to this guy, and I'm sure he never will. But, the hornet's nest get kicked and people are going to come out like they do. So obviously this Sami tweet is great. He basically just totally ratioed this guy and just says, Starknet is VC insider trash. You stealth launched your token 2 years prior to TGE trading and then started dumping via Wintermute, who are also scum. This received enormous backlash by the crypto industry and dug the VC knife into people's backs. I tracked every action and posted it along the way. See my screenshots. Starknet is also down 97% in 2 years, so don't throw stones from glass house. This is what's cool, that Sami does cover all of this stuff all the time, and you see this guy's response to him was just retard.
Okay. Yeah, he's got the best response, right? He reminds me of that little kid that says, "I'm taking my toys and going home," because he didn't get his own way.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'm curious. I mean, this guy, obviously, he keeps responding to people. He has a lot of very weird responses in this thread, but I don't know. What do you make of this? Like, I guess to me, it's good that people are still this triggered by Richard Hart, and I think it's good that Richard has called this out. I mean, we see this VC stuff all the time. It's something that many people cover in the industry, and this guy doesn't see any of that as a problem, probably because he also benefited by it. So,
sure he did.
Yeah. So I guess question is twofold. Like, number one, the ineffectiveness of layer 2s for Ethereum and how they've actually, hurt Ethereum in the long term. What your thoughts are of that. And then just this, vitriolic reaction by this guy. What do you think?
Well, I think anybody that is there's always going to be somebody that is heavily invested in something that's going to take, even if it may be the truth, very personally, right? So I'm sure this guy is very heavily invested in this project. And, Richard spoke the truth. Unfortunately, it went down. He just basically said, hey, our stuff is better than you. It hasn't gone down. We haven't lost blocks. We haven't lost transactions. Nothing like that has happened. So it is vastly superior. I'm not sure how you can even compare, right? At this point. So, again, you're always going to have people, but instead of coming back with any kind of thoughtful responses of maybe why something happened, and if your technology is so much greater, like he states up here, that, it's innovations and mathematics and computation, whatever. That means absolutely nothing. I think all blockchains are mathematics and computation. All you're doing is solving something to verify the chain, right? So that is garbage. There's really nothing intelligent that was even said here about anything. Like, he just more engineering, research, and innovations. Well, we don't even know what the upgrade is, so maybe he should have told us if he's that proud of it. Anyway, and then he comes back with responses, like one-word responses like this. And then Pateas even jumped in. I don't know if you saw their response.
And it's a good one. Yeah,
it is very good. They were thoughtful and everything like that. And he goes, chat BT bullshit, whatever. And then obviously Hexo jumps in and he goes back to the throwing insults again. So either way, who cares what this guy is? Or I've never even seen it. Starknet, I don't know what it is. I've never used it. I don't care to. Again, layer 2s are just yet another risk, right? There's another middleman. There's another. We always go back to the why was crypto invented, was to get rid of middlemen, and you're injecting more of them every time there's a layer 2. It's just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And to your other question is, yes, I think they are part of the reason why Ethereum is where it is, because you have so much development now on the layer 2s that the fees, the action, the prices are not happening where they need to be, right? On the main chain. Everybody's taking things to a side chain, and it has hurt. Now, I think it's just going to cause a little bit of a slower start. People are going to realize that most of this shit is garbage, and not use it anyway, other than a few. But yeah, I mean, it just injects extra middlemen that we don't need. So again, I think, Richard pretty much hit it on the head, as far as saying that it's superior, only because it hasn't even gone down. That one statistic alone proves that it's superior. So, and you get to look at what Ethereum's doing with their upgrades and let them kind of play out, right? If there's a problem with those, then you see it before you add it to your chain and cause a very similar problem. So yeah, that's where I stand with it. This guy is just, he's not thoughtful. He's not giving any kind of responses. He's just essentially calling everybody retard and throwing stones. Like, I don't get it. So, and then he goes on to say about richardheart.com. Well, Richard took that site down a long time ago. He said there's no point in updating it. Before it was for the outrage marketing. It was one of the things when he was promoting building the museum and those type of things. But he says that I don't need it. So this is so old that who cares that richardheart.com isn't even up anymore. So anyway.
It's just interesting that like Sami lays out this entire history of their entire history with facts and timestamps and dates and all this, and he just says retard. Like, he doesn't even, I mean, that pretty much tells you all you need to know right there, I think. So
yeah, I didn't dig deep into these, but
I didn't really look at that, but I've Sami's talked about it a lot. I've heard him talk about it before, and
well, it seems like this is back from June. I mean, these are old.
Yeah,
he was talking about him in February. So this isn't new to him. To me, I don't use it. I don't care. But he has, it's down 97%. So
yeah,
and that was,
that was even last year.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't know what's up with that guy. I don't know why that guy got so angry, but that's the kind of stuff you do enjoy when they come at RH like that. So kind of
that, and he knew that I think he intended to poke the beehive a little bit, and he knew he was going to get it. I think didn't he say at some point is I don't care if
send your
I think he said something about send me your army, here you go, it doesn't matter, these people are lost already. So he knew he was going to get a lot of interaction, and maybe he's getting paid, who knows, but he probably did it for the interaction. Would be my guess.
Doesn't necessarily seem like he's doing all that well, honestly. So it is what it is. So kudos to Richard. I mean, he didn't really call out any person specifically. He was just talking about Starknet as a whole, obviously. So super chat from DJin Moonboy for the background, the PDI background. Appreciate that. 1999. Thank you very much, sir. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. But that'll go towards the PDI background to piss off everybody that comes to the channel. So I appreciate that, man, as always.
You said there were some good comments on one of our previous videos. I didn't get a chance to check them out yet, but
our last PDI clip that was up, I think yesterday, there was some good comments. People
hating on me.
Yeah, some spicy ones about you shaking.
All right.
We talk about PDI, and I don't even remember the other ones, but they were kind of entertaining. Maybe that's a fun segment just to wrap up the show. Maybe I can pull up that video on my phone real quick, and just here. This will be our weekly PDI segment. I'm just going to go to our last video and read the comments here. Okay, you want to do that to wrap up here,
or we could take some other questions here too. I don't know if anybody had any. Anybody has any
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if anybody had any questions and wants to throw them in here real quick at the end, go for it.
Yep.
Go ahead and do that while they're
You
doing
got
it.
14 minutes. Yep.
Yeah.
So let us know. So on our latest PDI video, and again, just to restate this, I am somebody that is open to PDI. Yeah, Hex Girl wants the comments. I'm open to PDI. I have a bag of PDI. I hope something happens with it. I tend to believe that there's more than meets the eye, or that what meets the eye is real, because there is a lot of stuff out there. Ewok doesn't feel the same way. Just long story short. One comment: Ewok always shaking his head no when PDI and Sami are mentioned. LOL. We've got PDI to $1, Ink to $7,000, Hex to $55. You ready? We've got PDI is the most intriguing project on PulseChain, and there's just no way to make the cores this interesting. That's an interesting one. This is in Ewok's camp. Never underestimate the power of a group of very determined idiots with a can-do attitude. Okay. PDI to $1, bro. Funny, hilarious, time will tell. Got it. PDI is the GOAT. Here's a question. Do you think PulseChain Network will survive without a decentralized stablecoin? That's an interesting one. What do you think of that, Ewok? Obviously, your answer is yes, but yeah, what do you think of that?
Reread the question.
This actually got the most likes of any comment on the video. Here's a question. Do you think PulseChain Network will survive without a decentralized stablecoin?
Yes.
Yeah. And I do too. But I think this would be something that would make it a gigantic separator and, pump it to heights that we never thought imaginable this cycle. And yeah.
When somebody develops one, I think it'd be great.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think what's in front of our eyes is being developed right now in ways that you couldn't even imagine, and we don't know the answers to yet. And that's why it doesn't cost $1 right now.
Yeah. Well, again, so do we know how many? At one point, it was 26 billion out there of them.
I believe, yeah. I don't know how many are right now, though. No.
So you almost have to have the backing. And I don't know anybody with $26 billion. But how does that happen? Like, I still haven't really heard how the coin gets backed, or any kind of collateralization.
I would forward you to Big Whale PulseX, or whatever his name is, the guy with all the tattoos that's always shirtless and has a hat on in his videos and types in all caps. He is an interesting guy, and honestly, he has a lot of stuff that I've never really known or heard before that I read. So, yeah,
he's probably muted because everything he talks about is PDI.
Well,
and I think at one point I just muted that.
Go ahead. You just muted PDI.
At one point, yeah. I just got tired of it being that's all I saw on my feed, and I was like,
just good sign. Hex Girl, Cash Money. That's it. Yeah, I enjoy that guy. Yeah, thank you. Here's an interesting comment. I don't know what they meant to say here. They said, I think Ewok needs to grow a pet. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it was supposed to be pair, and they said pet. So yeah, you need to grow a pet.
Okay.
This guy says
chia, this is like a chia pet.
The Tangang's favorite blockchain. Boy, this is what I don't like, is when I get grouped in with you. Boys, just buy it. Ha ha ha. I already have. I'm not Ewok. I don't have the same opinions on everything. Okay, this one. RH Max, I don't know if you're still here. I'm just reading this in good fun. Stop, and this part of this pisses me off because, like, don't tell me who to talk to. Stop associating with RH Max. He is a PDI snitch. I don't know what that means. PDI to $1. I guess RH Max tattled on PDI or something. I don't know. Ewok says it's all about supply, loser take. It's all about demand, which is non-existent or zero outside the Pulse ecosystem. So he starts off criticizing you, but agreeing with you, actually, I guess.
Starts
I'm gonna
off
read.
with supply. Read that again.
No. Ewok says it's all about supply when it comes to PDI. Loser take. It's all about demand, which is non-existent or zero outside of the Pulse eco. He's saying only people within PulseChain are buying it.
Yeah. So I wonder who I'm not sure who he's sticking up for there.
Well,
It's
I don't
kinda
know.
weird.
He shits on you, but then he agrees with you. So I really
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that these are the smartest comments of
Yeah.
all time. I just thought it'd
Right.
be funny to read. So,
So
yeah.
Viper Styles put up an interesting one too here. I don't know. It says Ewok, what are you going to do when when a new technology is developed to peg PDI? Well, then I listen. I could easily change my view about it, right? But right now that doesn't exist. There isn't any kind of platform out there that or smart contract that will help it peg, because it's already been shut down. Like the original one and the maker one was broken. We don't want to give those guys control. They have the keys to it. I think that would be foolish to let Maker DAO control PDI. So yes, if something technology wise is developed where you get a borrowing and burning feature of some sort, if it's created, my problem now goes back to more the collateralization of the tokens. You've got to have it collateralized, and the biggest problem is there are so many holders out there that would never collateralize their own bag. First of all, that's kind of defeats the purpose of buying something low in hopes that it goes up. You're not going to collateralize it at 110% of a dollar's value to keep it there. So I think that's the biggest hurdle that we have to get over, is who's going to collateralize it, who's going to risk their capital of liquidation for these numbers of tokens that are out there to get it and keep it to $1. That's my biggest hurdle right now, is I just don't see who's going to back it. Now, I'm not ever, and I've never said that it can't go up. I think people can make some money with it. I think you could probably do it, but it's the PDI to $1 and pegging. I just have a real problem with, because I don't see any kind of what you're saying technology out there to make that happen and keep it there, along with the collateral that it would take to keep it, right? So that's where I have the biggest issue with the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that's why people are also talking about, I mean, I know pegging is the big thing, but like people are also talking about it actually fluctuating and not actually being, to avoid certain regulatory things, like not actually being pegged and not being collateralized in some way. That's the thing. I don't have all the answers either. And that's why the thing costs what it does right now. But there just seems to be fishy events that have happened time after time after time that there's no way at this point I would sell my bag or anything. I'm very interested to see what happened. But final question here from Viper Styles, and let's wrap up. So Ewok, you dislike the PDI peg narrative, not that it will never go up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think you guys could totally make money. I again, I had some, and I sold it because I don't buy the peg, and I think that's the biggest false narrative that is out there. Again, I think people, if they buy it and sell it, they can make money, but that's part of the problem, is why it won't peg, is because there is so much out there, and people are going to sell. They're not going to hold it to $1 and then say, all right, now that it's $1, let's do something, right? There's that. I've seen the degens that are out there. That is not going to happen. I just don't feel that anybody that bought it for 3 zeros and a 1 is going to get to $1 and say, okay, now how can we keep this here? I don't see that happening.
No, I don't. I tend to not think it would work that way either. But one thing to make clear is you don't buy the peg; the peg buys you. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, great stuff tonight. Fun topic to round off on. But yeah, overall, still feeling bullish. I know we have this little lull going on right now, but until I'm proven wrong, literally up into the day, I think that we easily get, I think Ethereum makes a new all-time high and sustains it prior to this FOMC. I guess what I'm saying is I think that Ethereum can get to 5,500 to 6,500 prior to FOMC. I think that we could see that literally in the next 2 weeks. Or I guess really what I'm saying is just a sustained day in and day out, putting in daily candles where it is resting in that new all-time high. I think we consistently get it, not just for like a few hours on one day like we did before. Yeah.
Well, and like I said, we looked at that bull flag that's being created on that ratio. So it essentially, if you draw the lines correctly, it looks like it's got about 10 days to get out of there. And usually when they get out of there, they don't just break through. They make a nice move. And that's another thing too. The Tom Lee, was that a rumor that he's going to be on Rogan? I know.
I guarantee it was bullshit. It was the altcoin daily. I mean, who knows? I didn't even look into it, but they shared like rumor Tom Lee's going to be on Joe Rogan and probably wipe your ass with that. But if he did, I mean, I haven't listened to a Rogan episode in months at this point because it's pretty much the same shit every day. But I would listen to that one. Yeah, that would be very interesting. So who knows if the twins made that up or not? So I guess we'll see.
So I'm not a secret bag holder. I made it clear that I did.
Man.
So I had some. I admitted that I had some, close to like 100,000 of them or whatever it was, and I got rid of them. So
at the bottom could be up probably 5.
Probably right close to it.
All right. Well, that's you got to be a believer. Ewok will just have to buy higher, guys. That's really all. He'll buy at $1.90 or something like that. Yeah. All right. So I think that's going to wrap us up for now. Thank you to everybody in the chat. DJ Moonboy, thank you for the super chat and your continued allegiance to the show. Viper Styles, Valiant Low Key, Hex Girl, Tam was here earlier, RH Max, Digital Money Marcus, NJ Dub, Checks My Pulse. Oh boy, who else do we got here? Oh, Crypto Stylist. I didn't notice her earlier. She was in here. So
she popped in and said hello.
Yep. Linesis, I don't know you from before, but welcome in. We had a guy named Thumper here that shared an interesting story earlier. I appreciate it. Rocket Mob, trying to get everybody I can. Yeah, Thumper Red Eye, good stuff. I appreciate all of you guys. We do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think the bull market is still on. I think we have a lot of upside to go and hopefully some significant upside here within the next couple weeks. So, yeah, for Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boy Crypto right here on the Creed of Crypto. See you guys.